Hello to everyone. My name is Samlim Shotap Ken, and I want to talk about a spiritual awakening. Om Muni Muni, Mahamuni, Guru Buddha, Shakyamuni Soha. The state of humanity today requires that we really enter into a major spiritual awakening to face the challenges and resolve the problems we have today. One fundamental element of the spiritual awakening is our motivation. What does motivate you? What brings you to life every day, every morning? This is a very fundamental question because if one really centers the mind on motivation, one would like to really have some way of systematizing the major elements that brings motivation, brings the energy of motivation to our life. One of them is liberation. Liberation of what? Liberation of the instability of the mind. Liberation of this mind that plays game with us, the mind that usually is called the macaco mind, that moves from here to there without really concentrating in a very stable and wisdom fashion. The second element that motivates most of us is the welfare of others. This is very interesting today because we are 10 billion people on this planet, almost. And a great motivation is that not only you get to higher and higher levels of welfare, but also the others. And when I talk about the others, I'm talking about other human beings, other sentient beings like animals and nature. This is to say, this motivation recognizes the interdependence that exists among all forms of life. It's not only my life, it's not only the other being's life, but also the life of nature. Another form of motivation that can bring you to the center of your path, your spiritual path, is to know that there are future lives. If you understand that there are future lives, or you self-realize that there are future lives, then you have to prepare for that. And that is a major motivation. I'm almost 76 years old, and that is a major motivation. I don't want to pass on to my next life the same problems, unresolved problems that I have today. Another important motivation for many people is to walk the right path. This is important because most of us, when we have this motivation, when motivation surges into our life, usually it's because there is something that is not going right, something that needs to be corrected. And that's why I call it the right path. And this is another area we might talk about in the future. And another final major motivation in our spiritual awakening is to have some sense, some level of consciousness of our collective responsibility. It's not only about me. It's about everyone. It's about everything. It's about every manifestation of life on this planet. This sense of collective responsibility, this sense of individual responsibility, motivates ourselves to reorganize the way we govern ourselves. We govern the mind. We govern the emotions. We govern the speech, all our actions, our behavior, our livelihood, and so on and so forth. The Buddha gives us some very interesting options to address this motivation in terms of practices for those who are not motivated enough and they are not in the path of this major spiritual awakening. One is to cultivate our virtues, to practice our virtues: love, compassion, caring, sharing, interdependence, and so on. This path doesn't need any prerequisite. You can do it right now. You can have an act of love with your brother, with your sister, with your mother, with your father, with your coworker, with your pet. It doesn't matter. Love is love. The other one is to get some antidotes in relationship to our negative mental states. Many of us don't have this spiritual awakening because we have a tremendous level of negativity. Everything is wrong. Everything doesn't work. Everything has something to be criticized. This is very important. You know, your attitude in relationship to your own life might be negative. Your attitude in relationship to your family, to your work, to your future might be all negative. And we need to address the causes and conditions of that negativity. Otherwise, we will continue suffering, and by suffering, we never approach this spiritual awakening. No doubt that it's very important for all of us to do merits like service, merits like taking the hand of someone who is crossing the street. We don't need big merits. We don't need merits that are going to change the world instantaneously because of me. It's all together. And therefore, any act, of purification, any act of merit is, for all of us, fundamental. Again, to do merit, this doesn't demand any prerequisite. You don't need to be Buddhist, Christian, nothing. And in fact, what unites all religion, what unites all the spiritual groups in the world is this possibility that together we can do merits in the same direction of a positive life. In Buddhism and in Hinduism too, there are certain practices that we could take every day. And I will mention them rather quickly. And each of them requires a very profound and a very detailed explanation. But maybe this list might help you to get the mind focused into the issue of spiritual awakening. The first one is love and kindness. Love and kindness. Are you kind enough with the rest of the world? Are you in the mode of love? This love and kindness in Pali is called metta. Metta, M-E-T-T-A. The second one is compassion. Compassion is the ability to become the other without losing your own identity. It's not just give. Give is to give. But compassion is an act, is an ability that we need to develop to become the other. But not necessarily be the other, but to become the other without losing your identity. Your identity is very essential for compassion. Joy or sympathetic joy, And here is a very altruistic heart that approaches life with the desire to help, with the desire to resolve for others what needs to be resolved. And the fourth one of this daily practice is equanimity. Equanimity is to be there in all its dimension without attachment, but also without indifference. When you practice equanimity, it's not that you become indifferent. On the contrary, equanimity is a very active mind, it's a very active attitude to be able to see all possible realities of the situation you are confronting. A person, a problem that had to do with your work, whatever is now your challenge, you have to practice equanimity. If you want to memorize something and lift up your heart, lift up your consciousness, just memorize these words: metta, love and kindness; karuna, compassion; mudita, sympathetic joy; and upekkha, equanimity. Repeat with me: metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. Metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. I'm calling you to say that the moment is now. Don't postpone the path to your spiritual awakening, because you will become really not the architect, but the victim of change. You must become the architect of change so humanity can move to the next state of human consciousness. Soha, Soha, Soha. Hello. There is only one condition to safeguard a common shared future for humanity: the self-realization of mutuality with all sentient beings and nature. This is called Neljur Sa, the yoga of nature. Okay. Let us become one.